Shocking royal drama, Princess Leonor's most intimate letter revealed. A palace at dawn. A future queen in silence. A secret no one expected. Then, a letter. Raw, unfiltered, emotional. A truth Spain was never meant to see. Because what Princess Leonor wrote changes everything. For years, Spain has watched Princess Leonor grow from a quiet, dutiful young royal into the poised, confident future monarch she is today. Her speeches, her discipline, her unwavering commitment, these were the things the world believed defined her. But behind the formal smiles and carefully orchestrated appearances, there existed a private world. A world guarded fiercely by the royal household. A world that, by every intention, was meant to remain completely sealed. Until now. Because this story begins not with a scandal, not with a public moment, but with something far quieter, far more intimate. A handwritten letter. A letter Princess Leonor wrote in the stillness of a late autumn night at the royal palace of Zarzuela. A letter addressed not to her parents, not to her sister, and not to any official figure. But to someone whose identity remains the most guarded secret in Spain. Someone she calls in the letter, her heart's anchor. The moment this letter surfaced even partially, it sent shockwaves across the monarchy, across Europe, and across anyone who believed they understood her emotional world. But to truly understand the weight of what Leonor wrote, we must journey back to the moments that shaped it. And we must ask the question, what pushed the future Queen of Spain to write something so vulnerable, so honest, so deeply human, that the palace fought desperately to keep it hidden? Let's begin. It was just after midnight. The palace was quiet, the kind of quiet that only ancient royal buildings know. Thick walls, sleeping corridors, decades of whispered history echoing in the silence. Leonor had just returned from weeks of exhausting military training. She carried with her the weight of responsibility that most 19-year-olds could never imagine. The routine was draining, the expectations were immense, and the loneliness was real. She had stood in front of crowds and cameras, always composed. Always flawless. But inside, she was wrestling with something deeper. Something she had not shared with anyone, not even her closest confidant, Princess Sofia. That night, she lit a small lamp. She opened a drawer, took out a stack of cream-colored stationery stamped with the crest of the House of Bourbon. And she began to write. Not as a princess, not as the heir to the throne, but as a young woman carrying the unbearable tension between duty and desire. Her first words were simple. Quiet, but heavy. There are things I cannot say out loud, so I'm writing them here, hoping that you will understand me when the world might not. This single sentence set the tone of the entire letter. A confession, a release, a revelation. But what exactly was she confessing? And who was she speaking to? This is where the story deepens because every discovered line opens a new door. And behind each door is a question that complicates everything. When fragments of the letter leaked through what palace officials now describe as a serious internal breach, the public only saw pieces. But even pieces were enough to shake the monarchy. One part reads, I know what is expected of me. I know the Spain I must carry. But when I close my eyes at night, it is not duty that fills my mind, it is you. Who was the you? A childhood friend, a fellow cadet, a figure outside the royal circle, someone forbidden. Someone approved. Someone the palace desperately wanted to erase. Even palace insiders couldn't agree. But what they did agree on was this. Leonor was speaking about a love the world was not allowed to know. Another passage deepened the mystery. They say a future queen must choose stability, tradition, and alliances. But my heart refuses to function like a treaty. I wish it could. I wish I could silence it. But I can't. Here, we see a rare crack in her royal armor, the conflict between the monarchy she was born into and the human heart she never asked for. This is where the emotional stakes begin to rise. This is where the letter becomes more than a confession of affection. This becomes a reflection of the tension inside the future Queen of Spain. But then comes the line that caused the real explosion. In a section now confirmed as authentic, she wrote, If loving you is a risk to the crown, then the crown must learn that even queens are human. This was not rebellion. This was not defiance. This was truth. A truth the palace was not prepared for. This line circulated faster than any previous royal whisper. Newspaper headlines erupted. Analysts debated. Commentators speculated endlessly, but the real question, the one no one could escape, was simple. What kind of love could push Princess Leonor to write that? Was this love inconvenient, forbidden, politically problematic, unexpected, or simply the love of a young woman trying to carve out a private life in a world that allows her none? This is where the palace stepped in and everything escalated. When senior members of the royal household discovered the letter, panic spread through the halls of Zarzuela. According to insiders, Queen Letizia was concerned. Not angry, but deeply protective. King Felipe, calm as always, reportedly insisted the situation be handled with discretion, respect, and immediate containment. Not because Leonor did anything wrong, but because her words revealed something the monarchy has always feared: authenticity, humanity, emotion, things that cannot be controlled, and things that, once exposed, cannot be hidden again. But inside the palace, the real conflict was not about the lover. It was about the message behind her words. That Leonor, for all her discipline, all her training, all her perfection, still feels deeply, fearlessly, honestly, and that vulnerability was something the monarchy had never prepared for. Now another question emerged, not about the letter's recipient, but about Leonor herself. Was this the moment she began asserting her emotional independence? Or was she simply expressing what any young woman in her position would feel? The palace never revealed who the letter was written to, but they did not deny its existence. That alone speaks volumes. But here's where curiosity loops tighten even further. Clues inside the letter suggest the person is not a royal, is not from a political family, is close to Leonor emotionally, is someone she trusts beyond the palace, and is someone the monarchy views as unsuitable for now but not necessarily forever. This profile sent speculators spiraling. Some argued it was a civilian classmate from UWC Atlantic. Others insisted it was a military colleague who earned her respect during training. A few believed it was someone she knew long before the spotlight found her. But the palace refused to clarify, and that silence created the loudest storm. Whatever the truth is, one thing is certain. Leonor loved, or loves, someone deeply enough to risk leaking emotion into ink. And that is something the crown rarely tolerates. The letter is more than romance. It is a window into the unseen burdens of a future queen. Lines reveal pressure, self-doubt, longing, the fear of disappointing a nation, and the desire to simply be human. One part reads, "Sometimes I wonder if people see me, or just the crown they expect me to carry. It's hard to know which version of me is real." This is not weakness. This is depth. Leonor's emotional maturity, her self-awareness, her empathy, these qualities shape her not just as a young woman, but as a leader in the making. And here lies another curiosity loop. How will this emotional honesty shape her future reign? Will she be a queen who hides her humanity, or one who embraces it publicly, allowing Spain to see a monarch with a real heart? This letter is the first hint. Now we reach the most delicate part of this story: the impact on her parents. Sources say the discovery of the letter sparked long, private conversations between Leonor, King Felipe, and Queen Letizia. Felipe, rooted in tradition, reportedly expressed concern about timing, not the sentiment itself. Letizia, known for her emotional intelligence, supported Leonor's need to express herself but urged caution. But there was tension, not anger but fear. Fear of misinterpretation, fear of scandal, fear of losing control of the narrative. Yet, Leonor stood her ground. She did not deny writing it. She did not apologize for it. She simply explained that she needed a place to put emotions she had kept locked away for years. And her parents listened. This moment, though private, reportedly shifted something within the family. They realized Leonor was not a child anymore. She was a young woman with her own emotional world. A world they could not fully shape or restrict. This is the moment some palace insiders describe as the beginning of Leonor's true independence. When the letter leaked, Spain reacted in two dramatically different ways. One side said, "She is too emotional. A future queen must be stronger." The other side said, "She is human, and that's exactly why she will be a better queen." For the first time, Spain saw Leonor not as a symbol, not as a distant royal figure, but as a young woman navigating love, duty, heartbreak, and identity. Her vulnerability made her relatable. Her honesty made her admirable. And the mystery of the letter made her unforgettable. This moment will likely define a chapter of her future reign. Because the world no longer sees her simply as the heir to the throne. They see her as a leader with a beating heart. And now, as we reach the core of this story, 3 questions remain, the ones that continue fueling global curiosity. We still don't know. The palace may never reveal it. But the emotional intensity of the text suggests someone deeply meaningful. Will it survive the weight of the crown? Will it be protected? Or will it fade under pressure? Will she continue expressing her humanity openly? Or will the palace reinforce tighter boundaries? These questions remain unanswered, and intentionally so. In the final paragraph, Leonor writes something breathtakingly tender. Something that reveals her true emotional core. If the day ever comes when I must choose between who I am and who I must be, I hope you will understand which choice hurts me the most. This is the line that defines the entire letter. Love versus duty, heart versus crown, humanity versus destiny. This is the eternal conflict of monarchy. And Leonor now lives at the center of it. In the end, the letter is not a scandal. It is not rebellion. It is not a crisis. It is a portrait. A portrait of Princess Leonor's inner world. Raw, tender, honest, and real. A world that Spain was never meant to see. But now cannot forget. This letter does not weaken her. It does not expose flaws. It does not create doubt. Instead, it reveals something far more powerful. A future queen who feels. A future queen who loves. A future queen who struggles. A future queen who is, above all, human. And, perhaps that humanity is exactly what Spain needs.